Tell us, how did your journey with Priyanka Chopra and all the others began?
Yeah, well, so Priyanka was a funny story, actually. So I would say that years and years ago, I was like, before I was even in the industry, I was at my parents in England, and my parents watch a lot of Hindi movies, Bollywood movies, and I don't really watch them. I didn't really watch them, and I saw Priyanka on the screen. And I don't know why. I was in venture capital. I had nothing to do with the entertainment business, but I just sort of a light bulb went off in my head, and it was like, I was just like, oh my God, like if anyone could ever make it in America, it would be this woman, Priyanka. And I didn't even know her name. So I was like, I asked my mom who she was. And my mother was like, she's the biggest star in India and she's amazing. And then I just had this like light bulb moment where I was like, if anyone could make it in America, it'd be her. Forgot about it because I wasn't in the industry. I had nothing to do with the industry. And then I don't know, maybe like 6 months later, her movie Fashion had come out. And my mom, I was in New York at the time, and my mom sent me the movie and said, it's got that girl that you really like in it, and I think that you would like this movie. And I was like, I'm not really into Hindi movies, but I'll give it a whirl. So I watched it, and I thought she was excellent, and I really loved the movie, and then forgot about it. And then years later, I'm sitting with Jimmy Lovine, who is the founder of Beats By Dre, and was one of my investors and very much a dear mentor to me, and one of my supporters and investors. And we'd just done all the music for Slumdog Millionaire. We'd done a collaboration with A.R. Rahman and Pussycat Dolls, and it was top 10 in 10 countries. And we were just talking about India and globalization and pop culture and global pop culture. And he asked me what I really wanted to do. And I said, what I really want to do is champion someone in pop culture that looks like me, or make someone in pop culture that looks like me, that could represent 1/5 of the world's population that looks like me. And he said, what does that look like? And I don't know, she sprung to my mind. And I just said, there's this woman, Priyanka Chopra. I don't know what we could do with her, but here she is. We started Googling videos of her, and he said, can she sing? And I said, I don't know. But at that time I was working with Lady Gaga, and I was working with 2 producers out of India called Salim and Suleiman, and a colleague of mine connected me to them. And they were like, yeah, we just recorded a demo tape with her. And I was like, it was just like, the stars aligned. And I was like, can you send me the demo tape? So they sent me the demo tape, and me and Jimmy listened to it. And he was like, okay, this could work. So I said, what are we doing? He said, go and convince her to sign a record deal with us. And I was like, I don't even know her. So then Natasha Pal, her manager at the time, Salim and Suleiman, put me in touch with her. Or I think Devraj Sanyal, someone put me in touch with her, one of those 3. And I had a conversation with Natasha, and she was really into it. So then she convinced Priyanka to talk to me. And then Priyanka was shooting this movie in the middle of a jungle and was talking to me from like a satellite phone. And I was trying to convince her that she should come to America and sign this record deal with me and Jimmy. And she was very quiet on the call, and she really didn't say very much at all. And I was like, oh, I failed so dismally. I thought like I just failed to convince her, and she wasn't gonna sign up for anything with me. And I remember Jimmy asking me how it went, and I was like, yeah, terrible. Like, she barely said anything. She was just listening. But now I know Priyanka, I know that she just really listens before she speaks. And she sort of like, she's a deep intellectual. So she'll really just kind of assess everything first. That's really how our journey started. And then I brought her to America. She met Jimmy for the first time in New York, and then we started to make music, and the story goes from there, really.
When you take on a female client, what's your first piece of advice when you're developing their brand and their business?
Is to just think really big, and to think the sky's the limit, and whatever you believe is wrong. So, for example, most of the time I'm working with female entrepreneurs. Priyanka is my only client on the entertainment side, and most of my work is with female entrepreneurs. And the biggest stumbling block that they all experienced at the beginning was not believing they could raise money, because the media and the rhetoric tells you that only 3% of women, get funded by venture capital. And those stats aren't wrong, but we'll defy those stats. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless we believe we can defy them, we won't defy them. So I always tell people, just don't read the press and don't believe what you hear. And if you believe in yourself and you believe in your product and you believe that there's a problem and you're the best person to solve it, then you just gotta be relentless about it, and you just gotta keep pushing forward no matter what.
How do you know? I mean, where to invest?
Well, to the dismay of many, it's no analysis. It's purely a gut decision. It was like when I knew Priyanka was the person to bring to America, in that split second I saw her on television at my mom and dad's house. I knew. When I invested in Priyanka Chopra, who is the founder of ClassPass, which has now reached $1 billion in valuation, I knew. When I saw Whitney Wolf on a Elle Women in Tech magazine, we were in it together. She was on the same page as me. I looked at her. I knew she was going to be amazing. I just think that, I don't know, it's just, I think I'm innately a talent spotter, and I can pick talent, and it doesn't matter if it's tech talent or if it's like, talent, entertainment talent. I think I just have a sort of eye for talent.
What are the opportunities for women in the future, especially women investors, and what are the challenges, and your thoughts on that?
I think the challenges are, there's this really smart woman. She was the founder of Female Founders Fund. Her name is Anu Dugal. And she said something to me very early on. She said, if you believe that women can make money, if you believe that women-led companies can make money, invest in my fund. And she's now raised, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but she's on her third fund now, and she's raised a lot of money. And she's had some like great stories of great female entrepreneurs. And I think that the sky is the limit. I really do. I think the opportunities are immense. Like, I think that the fact that we're only 3% of the venture funding means that we have an opportunity to grow to 100%. I'm sure that's probably unlikely, but like, okay, can we grow to 50%? Very probably. It's so funny. I was talking to a colleague of mine, actually. I was talking to Maura Forbes the other day from Forbes, and she's been quite, she's sort of been in my career a lot. I first met Catherine Minshew, who's the founder of The Muse, at the Forbes conference, which she put together. And then years later, Priyanka Chopra was on stage with Indra Nooyi at that conference with her, and we worked together on that. And, I was just sort of talking to her the other day just about how, I'm probably well on my way to 3 unicorn companies, which were all women, which I championed to men, and they all turned down. And I was just sort of saying that it's so crazy that to sort of like look at these female founders and believe in them, and then try and champion them to men, and they turn them down. They must be really bothered now that they did that. So I think the opportunities are massive. In terms of drawbacks, you might fail. Failure is possible, but that's okay, because you'll learn from that and you'll win the next time. I mean, one of my most amazing founders, Priyanka Chopra, really taught me about failing. She pivoted ClassPass twice before it got to ClassPass. So it was Dabble, and then it was Classtivity, and it failed both of those times. The model didn't work. We couldn't figure out the unit economics. But she taught me that failure was okay, because you just keep learning from it and you would pivot. So the drawbacks are, maybe you'll fail the first time, but then you'll probably win the second or third time.
Yeah, and you've got to take the risk, don't you?
Right. I mean, it's really funny. Jimmy Lovine said to me not long after he funded me, and this was devastating for me, but he said, hey, Ange, just to let you know, Desi Hits, which was my content platform that I founded, probably is going to fail. And I was like, why would you say that? Like, he'd invested money in me, he was investing in me, he was giving me all this time. And I said, why would you say that? And why would you even invest in me if like you believe that? And he was like, you're no different to me than Gwen Stefani or Eminem, a piece of talent that I believe in. And if one song doesn't make it, that doesn't mean the album's not going to be a hit. And he said, so this is your first single and your next single will probably be the hit, or you'll create an album after that. And, you know, that company did fail, and he was absolutely right. But then I signed Priyanka, and I would say she's a really big hit. So that was my second hit single.
What has been the most challenging thing in building the Priyanka Chopra brand in the US?
So I think we're at the precipice of something really amazing. Like, I'm just looking at sort of what's happened with White Tiger, for example, and how, you know, the lead actor in that is just being nominated for a BAFTA, and, you know, I hope he gets nominated for an Oscar. And I think that, you know, I think what's been really amazing about what Priyanka's been doing is really trying to produce great movies to bring new talent into the market. And I think White Tiger is a really great example of that, because when she heard that was being made, I mean, literally she was relentless. She was like calling me up going, I have to be involved in this movie. I don't care that there's not like a big role for a woman, because the lead woman was really a supporting role. She was like, I don't care. I just want to support it. I want to use this as a platform to help other talent come through. And I want to produce it. I want to bring it to the world. Like, she loved the book. I love the book too. So, you know, I think there's such great opportunities. And I think, you know, as she's producing more and more, we're producing more and more together, I think there's like really great opportunities for things to happen. I can't remember your other question, but you asked me two questions.
It was basically the biggest challenge in these cross-border sort of collaborations.
You know,
how do you see that?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge has always been, can something like that make money? Like, but I think what's so interesting, like White Tiger, again, you know, it's #1 in 64 countries. And it's been a massive streaming success for Netflix. So of course they're going to want to invest in more of that type of content which maybe is considered niche until it's not. You know, I think it's just the obstacle of proving that whatever it is can make money. Essentially, that's all that people care about. I always talk about, when I'm like mentoring students or film students or people in the industry, I'm like, you have to know your numbers. Like, for example, we sold this movie, Mindy Kaling and Priyanka Chopra movie, to Universal, and it was off, you know, on the wings of Crazy Rich Asians that did 230 million at the box office. Like, you know, it was an opportunity for us to say, look, these types of movies make money, and they make money internationally, and they make money domestically. And I really think that that's kind of what it is. You just got to be able to tell a story, and you have to be able to tell a revenue story. And I think that so much of, you know, what I've learned being a startup founder and then being an investor is really understanding the numbers and understanding that the revenue tells a story, and that's really what people care about. So as much as we have a big dream and, you know, we want to change pop culture and we want to do all of these groundbreaking things, essentially you have to boil it down to what are the numbers and who's making money, and that's the key to it.
What's your advice to for aspiring female entrepreneurs, young here in this part of the world and around the world?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again because I really believe that they should think that they can do anything and they can think big, and to believe you can dismantle a whole industry, because I've seen people do it. And it's funny, I've got this company I was just on the phone with this morning called Yumi, and they're actually a direct-to-consumer, really clean, fresh baby food company. And when I look at the baby food industry, it's so polluted. It's so bad. Like, there's all these, you know, stories right now about heavy metals in baby foods and arsenic. And I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. And organic food companies, like organic companies saying like organic food for babies. And what's so interesting is this company called Yumi has literally taken 2% of market share of baby food company. And we're a tiny startup out of San Francisco, you know, I mean, it's just like, and, you know, in San Francisco, actually, they have 10% of the market, and they're just like, in COVID, they've grown exponentially. And that's kind of amazing for a tiny company to have that market share already in such a short space of time. So I just, you know, and there were just these two diverse women that had this dream, and just, you know, Angela, the CEO, is a mother and really sort of witnessed firsthand issues around baby food. And I think about all my companies. I have another company called Pop and Bottle. And the reason I found Pop and Bottle was because I went vegan and I gave up dairy, and I started looking for sort of clean dairy alternatives. And everything on the market was just, you know, full of gums and stabilizers. And it's so funny, people say to me, oh, but what about this brand? And I'm like, no, terrible. Look at the label. It's got gums and stabilizers in there, corn syrup, terrible, terrible things that you don't want to eat. And I was in the search for like a clean almond milk, and I found this brand called Pop and Bottle. And I don't know how somebody connected me to the founders. And it was this an Indian woman and an American woman, and they basically were on the same journey as me. They just wanted clean almond milk, so they developed this very clean brand, and it just basically is just really clean. And you know, and the company's doing so well, and it's like distributed all over, and they've now moved into oat milk lattes, and it's just like really, again, like done amazing, exponentially grown in COVID. Because I think in COVID, when people are at home, they have time to kind of really, you know, investigate what they're eating. They've got more time to spend on, you know, just really, you know, figuring out like better products for themselves. So I think that it's been really amazing for these smaller companies that have really got, you know, clean supply chain and are really developing products that are better for you and don't have the legacy of kind of toxic manufacturing that, you know, large CPG has.
So that brings me to the theme of the conference, which is the power of female influence. So what's that for you?
For me, it's just vision and change. It's like the ability to look, you know, what's so interesting is like, you look at some of the biggest social media platforms in the world, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the biggest users are women, right? So what does that tell you? That tells you like the biggest platforms in the world are really adopted by women more than anyone else. And that just tells you that we have huge influence. Like we, you know, we're on these platforms, we're expressing ourselves, we're talking about things that matter to us, and we're changing culture. And by changing culture, we're changing trends. And by changing trends, we're changing where people spend their money. That's a huge influence to have. And then from that, we're building our own companies, you know? And, you know, for me, it's just how do we create more of that? How do we create more influence and more ability to change things?